Hey guys, welcome back. So in this video, we'll take care of the behavior of the dragon when we are at a far distance from it. So once we are at a far distance, the dragon takes flight and that flying animation starts playing. So let's open the dragon underscore BP blueprint class and add a custom event called a face player class. We'll get the character reference, which is basically the player. We'll get this actor's location, and then we'll take our dragon's actor location. We then have to do a find, look at, rotation. This basically gives you a rotation value between the actor and the player, between the dragon and the player. We then do our R interrupt for the actor rotation to move towards the player, and we should set the time as world delta seconds and let the interrupt speed be 20. So R interrupt 2 will have a smooth rotation movement, and then we set the actor rotation. So this will give you a smooth rotation movement of the character towards the player. Let's correct the Z value, that is the yaw value, because we don't need the X and Y value, which is the pitch and the roll. We just need the Z rotation value for this. Let's compile and save this. This is basically the face player functionality. So when in combat mode, we need to always have the dragon to look at the player, rotate towards the player. So for that, we'll add a service. So let's add a new service and name it BT service underscore face player. So in the event receive tick AI, we cast it to a dragon underscore BP, and then we call the face player custom event. And then we use the service in our behavior tree. So this service will be running whenever the dragon is in combat. It will be rotating towards the player. Let's name the node face player, and let's have the interval as 0.01. This means like for every 0.01 seconds, this service will be running. So when you run the game, so the dragon will now enter into combat mode. So as we are moving towards the dragon, as you can see, is rotating towards us. That rotating towards us is what the R interrupt node does. R interrupt 2 node does. So now let's create a new folder called the component folder and a new blueprint class, which is an actor component. So now we are having a flying AI component to make the dragon move into the air. So in the flying AI component, we need to get the owner, which basically gets the owner, that is the dragon underscore BP. We just cast it to a character, and then we get the gravity. So we need to set the gravity to 0. This will basically not let the dragon come back into the ground. So we get the character movement and then we get the gravity scale. So setting it to a 0 will not allow the dragon to come back to the ground. It will just stay in the air as long as it stays there. So we need to add this flying AI component to our dragon underscore BP. So now when we run the game, the dragon's gravity scale will be 0. Now let's call a custom event called the fly attack. This basically, so we need to call the ability system component and try activate ability by class, and then we need to choose a new GA underscore fly attack, which we just created previously. So once that is done, GA underscore fly attack is basically the gameplay ability class. So now we have a condition for distance, which is near. Now let's add a condition, add a decorator for distance, which is far. So let's choose the blackboard key value for far distance. Now when we are far from the dragon, we just need to call the fly attack task. So we need to create a new task, call it the fly attack task. And from here, we need to call a custom event which activates the gameplay ability class. So let's call the event receive execute AI, and from the controlled pawn we get the dragon underscore BP, and from here we get the fly, we call the fly attack custom event. And then we'll finish the finish execute to success. So that means the task has been successfully completed. So now we need to work with the GA underscore fly attack gameplay ability class. So this is the GA underscore fly attack. So we need in the event activate ability, we first commit the ability. Now we get the owning actor from actor info, casted to dragon underscore BP. This basically for whichever owning class, that is our dragon underscore BP, we call this. Now let's create an AnimMontage called dragon underscore fly attack montage. So this is our montage class. Now we need to combine two animations for this montage class. Let's first do the takeoff to fly. So this makes the dragon move from ground to the air. So we need to drag and drop this into our graph. Let's change the timeline from 65 to around 125. This will extend our graph for us to add another animation. So now let's add another animation. Let's check if this is the animation which we need to add. Oh, this is not the one which we need, as it's landing, as it's on the ground. So we need to find a stationary spread fire, fly stationary spread fire. So once takeoff to fly runs, we need to run the fly stationary spread fire. So this is how it will look, combining the two animations. We then save this file. Now we need to add a custom Anim notification. So let's add a new notification track, and in that track we'll add a new add notify and a new notify name. Let's name it takeoff. So we need to use this animation notification in our blueprint. So going to our blueprint, we need to go to event graph and then right click and search for takeoff. So this is the Anim Notify takeoff. So whenever the animation runs, this particular notify will be triggered. So I am trying to trigger this notify as soon as the takeoff animation is started. We need to get the pawn owner, which is basically our dragon underscore BP. So for that we need to cast it to dragon underscore BP. And then after casting it, we'll get the character movement. We then need to add an impulse to put the dragon into the air. So add impulse basically gives a push. So for that we need to add an up vector, as we need to push it to the air. So we'll do the get after up vector, and then we'll multiply this vector by, let's take 100, and then we'll connect this to impulse. We'll take the velocity change. So this basically pushes the dragon to the air. So once the notify gets triggered, this functionality will be executed. So let's go to fly attack, and we need to add an anim montage here, which we just created, called dragon_takeoff. We then connect our dragon_BP. So now let's add play montage and wait, and we'll add the created takeoff dragon_takeoff montage to this. So the animation triggers, and from the animation the notify triggers, and that notify pushes the dragon into the air. So we'll add this particular task in our behavior tree, and then we'll call the acquire ability in our blueprint class, which acquires the GA_fly attack. So on playing, the dragon enters into combat. It checks we are far from it, and looks like the dragon is stuck. The animation looks stuck. That's because we need to add a cooldown to our behavior tree. If we don't add a cooldown, it just keeps running, and the montage never gets to be completed. So for that, first let's add a new gameplay tag in our GA_fly attack called dragon.attack.fly. So this tag will be executed, and when the gameplay ability class is executed. So we'll add a decorator called tag cooldown. So the tag cooldown, we'll add a cooldown tag which is dragon.attack.fly. So this basically blocks the fly attack from running for 5 seconds. That time we can give that time for the animation to run. So once we are far from the dragon takes off. There's an impulse added. As you can see, the dragon is moving up and the animation is played. In the next video, we'll look at sending the dragon back to the ground and add a fire animation, fire VFX. Thank you.